has stopped. Okay. Hello. Hi. This is Andrea with the ADS Agency, here with my good friend Ray Abram, and we're here today talking all about the best secrets of networking. The best secrets of networking. And if you're here, please say hello. We're really semi-concerned about our technology tonight because we think we're live, but we never know we're live until someone says, hi, we see you. So if you can hear us, if you can see us, please just say hello. Tell us where you're chiming in from. We just now can see two people. We think one person. Daryl said, made it back, you're live. Nice. Yay! And nice. Natasha's here. Yay! Okay, nice. We're working. Thankfully. So we think our cell phone tower must be down or something, and we don't know. But in any case, thank you so much for joining. All right, so we're so excited about this today. Sincerely so excited. Again, if you're here, make sure you chime in and say hello. Hey, Prahlad, how's it going? Tell us where you're chiming in from tonight, and be thinking about your tips, questions, whatever, all around networking. This is all about the best secrets of networking, okay? And we're doing this because why? Natasha from ATL. Yes. Why are we doing this? Because we run into so many people who, they're in that situation where they're walking in a room. They walk into a room and they know no one there. Mm-hmm. They don't know anybody. Nobody really looks like them. No one's talking like them. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to approach people. And what do you do in those situations, especially when you're there for business? Jan Hill. Yes, it's working. Yes. Hello. Thanks so much for saying hello. Again, if you're here, say hello. Let us know where you're chiming in from. We're so glad to see you here. Also wanted to share with you real quick, if you're here tonight, we do have we don't always have prizes, but we do have prizes today. One is the 4-hour work week. I've been wanting to read this. Ray has read this. I'm going to introduce you to Ray in just a second. 4-hour work week by Tim Ferriss. If you've read this book, let me know. But I've been wanting to read this for a minute. I mean, who doesn't? That title alone is amazing. 4-hour work week. I want to be on a beach with a 4-hour work week. And then the other thing we're giving away, if you share this today, hey January, it's January. I know. Never Eat Alone. Never Eat Alone, which was highly recommended by a client of mine. And so these are 2 books we're giving away for people who share this. If you could share it live, that would be wonderful. It's also for the people who share it on the replay through Friday. So please share, like, comment, all those good things. All right, so again, we're talking about the best secrets of networking here with Ray Abram. And let me tell you just a little something about Ray before we get started. Ray is a graduate of Hampton University. HU. Speech communications major. Man of Alpha Phi Alpha.
That's right. 06.
First. All right. He's a super connector. He does events in the city, all throughout the city. They've been wildly successful. If you've not been to them, you need to follow his page, Coach Ray Abram. Also, go to his newsletter. If you can, go to his website, rayabram.com, RAYABRAM.com. We'll link to that later. But you can sign up for his emails there, get all the information. It's great tips and such. And he's also got a blog there that you'll want to follow. So it's really awesome. He's been working nicely on those. Ray, being a super connector, he helps people find jobs through his connections. He's helped people find great opportunities for business. And all of that using his trademark strategies around networking and maintaining a strong personal network. So please welcome my guest, Ray Abram.
Thank you, Andrea.
Yeah, thank you. So, all right, now we're going to dig right into it. I'm a little late turning this over. I remembered this today. All right, so 30 minutes. This is 30 minutes. If my sister ever chimes in, she'll also let me know if we're late or not. So, we're digging right in now. 4 secrets of networking. The first, we'll go through the first 4, and then we'll dig into these for you. It's forget about yourself. The second is all about energy. The third is give, give, give. And the fourth is be memorable. Okay? So forget about yourself, all about energy, give, 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 and be memorable. Those are the 4 big secrets we're going to break down for you today. So, you ready to dig right in?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So, forget about yourself.
Yes.
This tip, tell me a little bit about your take on this. You're in a networking situation. What does
Sure.
forget about yourself mean?
Right. So forget about yourself means that you have to be interested in the person, right? Before anyone can be interested in you, you have to be interested in them. There's an old saying, it comes to recollection, that nobody cares about you until they know how much you care about them. I think I messed it up, but you guys get the point.
Yeah. Yeah.
but basically, people don't care what you know until they know how much you care. That's the right way to say it. So when you are talking to somebody, people are interested in what's in it for them, not so much what's in it for you. So quite often in networking opportunities, we start the conversation and just say, "Hi, my name is Ray Abram. I do this, I do that," and believe it or not, people are not even really hearing what you're saying. They're waiting for their opportunity to talk. Mm-hmm. So the key to that is to have a conversation, but be inquisitive and ask with sincerity and authenticity. You have to be curious about people, not just wait for your opportunity to sell them something. I think that's what people hate about networking.
Yeah, exactly. Because they go in there with the mindset, of course you're there for business. 9 times out of 10, you're there for business, right? Mm-hmm. Because you've got a business to pitch, you're in sales mode, you need to get a new deal, you need a new project, whatever it is. This is about money at the end of the day. We're trying to make money. And we need people and businesses to make money. This is all part of sales. However, the vomit of sales that, some people spew is what is so off-putting. Don't come in my face immediately with your pitch. I know you're here to network. I'm here to network too, but it ultimately starts with, do I even want to help you?
Right.
Do I even like you, first of all?
That's it.
Know, like, and trust. We have to know, like, and trust people. And if I don't even barely know who you are, I know nothing about you, I don't even know if I like you yet, and I definitely don't trust you yet, why would I buy anything from you yet? So do not come out the gate trying to get people to buy things. That is not what this is about. This is about opening up the door for relationships, right?
Yes.
So focus on the other person in front of you. Focus on the people in front of you. Do not be looking at the buffet and thinking, I'm so hungry, and when can I have that crab cake, and I really want to drink right now, and why did I come? Your focus needs to be right there.
The person in front of you needs to feel like they are the most important person in the room. Because everybody wants to feel like that, no matter what their status, no matter what they do.
Yeah.
People who can make another person feel important, even for a few minutes, really do very well.
Make the other person feel important. That's so good. And I think you did mention listening, the importance of listening.
Yes.
So there's 2 sides of this, because there are the people who are the extroverts, and that's really hard for them to listen oftentimes because they're the talkers in the room.
Yes.
They're big personalities. If you're extrovert and you're chiming in now, let us know. Most people are either you're extroverts. Hey, Marlene. Hello.
Hey.
You're either extroverts way up here, high energy. You're the gregarious person in the room. Extroverts. There's ambiverts, which are like a mix. You're a little bit outgoing, but you're also okay with observing. I feel like I'm in that mix of, sometimes I've got that energy, and sometimes I'm like, I'm just people watching.
Yeah, just watching, just sitting back. And
introverts are probably the most reserved. I'm not going to say quiet. I hate that word quiet. That's always what people said I was growing up. It's just a little bit true, maybe. But very quiet, reserved. They are definitely observing all the time. So if you're extrovert, listening is generally hard for you because you're often the life of the party. You're the talker. So that's something extroverts really have to work on, is reeling it back.
Right.
And, listening more than they are doing this.
Right. And one thing that I will say, one key, one of the tips, right, is to, and it sounds so simple, but people don't do it anymore, is read. Be well read. You would be surprised at just reading the newspaper. We get all of our information because there's so much information coming at us these days. We're all in our filter bubble. And that makes you kind of uninteresting, right? So you can talk, ad nauseum about one certain topic, but quite often we're not very well versed in a lot of topics. So, I encourage you, read, go to the library, pick some books up about different subjects, learn about different things, so that when you're in situations and you meet someone who's not in your career, your industry, who is not necessarily someone who would be in your peer circle, you can have a conversation with them about something that you read. So kind of break outside of your filter bubble, the Facebook and Twitter, and read some other things that would be interesting, and not just snippets and articles. We've become a soundbite.
I'm so guilty. I'm so guilty.
We are. We've become guilty of being a soundbite culture, right?
We just want to scan and get
just want
something
to scan.
fast. Yeah.
Right. And so we have a bunch of facts, but we can't. It makes it more difficult for us to have a in-depth conversation with someone, about a certain topic. So that's something that I try to focus on, and I recommend to my clients as one of the best ways to connect with people, is to understand where they're coming from. And in order to understand where they're coming from, it helps if you're well read.
Love it. And to that point, just a reminder for those of you just chiming in, we are giving away these 2 books, which I can't wait to read. I got them because I want to read them. Never Eat Alone and The 4-Hour Workweek. Awesome books. Natasha says she likes that, and Jan Hill says great tip.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Super. So if you share this today, we're giving away copies of these to people who share. Not to everybody, but we'll pick people between now and Friday. And you could get one of these awesome, super amazing books to be well read, so you can be more interesting and have much more to talk about besides the snippets that we read.
Yep.
So, such a great tip. You're so right, but it's true. Like when I read when I made myself sit down and read that One Thing book, which we did a chat about not too long ago with David Patterson, that was like awesome to me. And it was in my head, and I was like, oh, it's so amazing. And I was talking to everybody about it. Like, have you read the One Thing book? Well, let me tell you what's in it.
Yes. And now you have conversation starters.
Yeah, and people are like, that's so good. They like love the tips and everything. So
Exactly.
he's so on it. Hey, Nikki. That's my sister, Nikki. So, very cool. Art Frazier. Hello, Art. Thanks for chiming in. So awesome. So, we have so much to talk about. All right, so that was forget about yourself. And one last thing before we leave that first tip of forget about yourself. And that's really a secret, forget about yourself. Which is hard for us to do. I mean, we deal with ourselves all day. The last one I think is more like a super networker thing to do is to seek to involve others. And I've done this quite often in a room. If you see the introverts in the room, or maybe ambiverts who are just not feeling it that day, and they are just not on their high energy mode, they are often like the wallflowers. They're to themselves. No one's talking to them. They feel awkward. They're like, why did I come to this? Oh, I can't believe I'm just so mad that I made myself come to this thing, and why did I come? Because no one's talking to me. No one's interacting with me.
Right.
As a super networker, those of you who are ambiverts or extroverts, you have the power to pull people in, and involve them in that group, involve them in that circle, be that way for them to get into that conversation so that they're not alone, so they don't feel alone.
And I'm gonna give you a tip.
Yeah.
All right, so here's tip number 2. So when you go to a networking event, one key is to, and it's a tip, I do this, talk to the first person you see.
The first person.
First person. Doesn't matter who they are. Because what happens is you go to these events, and if you're like I used to be before I learned all of this, you kind of go and you're looking around the room to see that perfect contact. Somebody, oh, he looks like to be a customer, or he looks like he needs a house, or she looks like she needs a car, or whatever it is that you're selling. You try to, just by looking around the room, find somebody who would be a good customer, or someone who looks like they're waiting for someone to talk to, someone who would be easy to walk up to.
Easy to talk to.
Right,
Yeah.
so you kind of looking around.
Or somebody you know.
You
try to, and that's bad. Like, don't immediately go to your friends.
Of course, because then you'll stand there for 30 minutes just talking with your friend and catching up.
You already know them.
Right.
You already know them.
Exactly. So the key, and I think this goes to your next tip about building your energy, right? You have to warm up. It's almost like in sports. So it doesn't matter what the first person you talk to talks about. And the next question usually is, well, what do I say? Because I don't even know this person. I don't know what they want. You know what? It doesn't matter what you say. You can say anything. How do you like the food?
I do.
Do you live around anything?
Have you been to these events before?
Anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you say. It just matters that you say something. Talk to the first person you see. Here's another tip. Only talk to them for 30 seconds.
Ooh, that's hard.
No, it isn't.
How do you do that?
Hey, Auntie, how you doing?
Good, how are
Hey,
you?
good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
You've been here before? You come to these type of networking
Yeah,
events?
no, it's my first time.
Cool. What line of work are you in?
I'm in marketing branding.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. All right, I'm walking around. I'll talk to you a little bit.
All right, awesome.
Right. Boom. Now, you keep it moving. And you talk to the next person, right? Then you move and you talk to the next person, and you rinse and repeat. You keep just walking around the room, 30-second conversations, finding out what people do. Now you're taking mental notes. You go back and see the people that you want to connect with. Also, when you meet people, down the line, other people in the room, you can find out that, like for instance, Andre is a marketing person. If I meet someone who is, the marketing person at Coca-Cola, I can say, oh, and I can, back to your point, introduce the two of you. Andre over here. Now, the person I just met has no idea that I just met Andrea 3 minutes ago. It doesn't matter. You automatically become a connector in the room.
That's a super connector tip. I'm going to add that to super. I thought we were networking 101. He just took it to like networking 105 or something, 205.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, it's not really difficult, but it does take some effort because it doesn't come natural. I think we tend to walk in and just have long conversations.
To Carl's point, he says, I don't do that though. I chat a bit too much at times. Which,
Many people do. And you know what? And that's okay. If you find somebody that you just connect with, it's okay. We're human and we do, strive for that. But if you want to get the most out of your networking events, kind of do it quickly first. Again, this is just like a first round. I say it's like a buffet, right? You walk. If you ever been to a buffet, and I love Swedish meatballs, right? But I'm not going to just stand there and just eat all the Swedish meatballs, right?
Yeah, people might, but okay, right. Yeah, I got you. Yes.
Yeah, you go down and you get a little bit of everything, and then you come back, and and I might get me 5 or 6 Swedish meatballs on the second. So think of a networking event as a buffet, and you're just kind of going down, getting a little sample of everything, seeing who's there, and then come back later because now you've already introduced yourself to the person. Yeah. Right. So now when you come back, they're like, "Oh, Ray," So now
there's some familiarity. You came back. They feel special because you came back. And all that.
Exactly.
So, there must be a good reason why they want to talk to me.
Now you have that 5-minute or 10-minute conversation to get more in depth. But again, you're not trying to sell anything at this point. No. You're simply trying to find out what do
people do. Find
out a little bit more about them.
What field are they in? Yeah, just kind of like. That's kind of good. It's kind of a way to get the lay of the land of the room immediately.
Exactly. So. But the key is to hit it and just talk to the first person.
I like it. So first tip was forget about yourself. Mm-hmm. And now number 2 is all about energy. Energy. And so thinking about this tip, and we have so much to chat about with, but I love the energy one because number 1, it's so important the way you walk into a room.
Yes.
Your presence when you walk in a room says so much. There's a question from Thomas. We're going to get to your question. He says, do you pass out business cards still at networking events, or do people lose those?
Yeah.
I definitely do business cards. I have some right here. I get a stack of at least this many.
Right.
Of at least this many every time.
Do you mind if I answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Thomas, so yes, I still pass out business cards. Business cards are important, but not for the reason people believe they are. Business cards are like advertisements, right? And what science has shown, you have to see an ad 27 times before you remember it, right? It doesn't stick in your head. If you imagine, like if you just saw one magazine ad or one TV ad one time, you're not going to remember that product. And the same thing is true with business cards. And so I think people use business cards and say, here's my card, and assume that person is going to remember them and will call them. And I'll ask you, how many people have ever called you from your business card to buy something from you?
Not to buy, no.
Nobody ever has.
No,
The only people who call you from a business card are trying to sell you something, right? So it's not that the business cards don't work. It's simply that they don't get enough exposure from a business card. The reason business cards are important is that when you give them yours, they'll give you theirs, right? And so now you have something that you can follow up. You have to be proactive. I'm not going to say nobody will ever, but in my experience, nobody has ever. I've been doing this for a little while, passing out business cards. I have passed out a whole box of business cards, and I have never gotten a call from somebody say, hey, Ray, I got your business cards. Can I give you my money? Never. Right? So what you have to do is you get your pile of business cards from them, from the event, but now you actually follow up and call those folks. Not to sell them, but just to continue the conversation.
Yeah. And the follow-up is hard. We're going to get back to the second tip. No, it's good. No, this is good. And I thank you, Thomas, for that question. That was really good. Follow-up is, we could spend a whole another conversation on follow-up alone. Because it's hard. First of all, it's hard. You get a stack of cards. You got to go through, in a perfect world, if every card was matte and you could write on it, you could maybe sneak a little note so you remember, they mentioned this, I really want to reach out to them about that. Because at the end of the night, you end up with a stack of cards like this, and you're like, who did I mean to talk to? Unless it's like the one or two people that are so memorable, which we'll get to being memorable in just a minute, that you specifically remember. It's hard to go back through the next day, and if I don't do it the next day, it's not getting done.
Right.
It's just not.
Right.
Right.
I use an app called Full Contact.
Full Contact.
Yeah, it's an app called Full Contact that allows you just to take a picture of the card, and there's actually someone who types it out for you.
Yeah.
So yes, I use that app, and so because like you said, if you get 40 or 50 cards, it takes so long when you get home to type everything in. LinkedIn used to have something called Card Munch, but they discontinued that.
I used that for a minute.
Yeah, they discontinued that. But Full Contact does the same, has the same functionality, and you get so many cards for free, and you can just take a picture of it, and it puts it automatically into your contact list.
So, and I stopped putting people into my contact list. I used to do that, but now what I'll try to do is, excuse these sirens if you hear them. This is the city, so.
Yes.
So what I try to do is, if I do get to my stack of cards, is send everyone an email, and I'll have like and I don't know if this is great or not. This is just what I do. I do email, and I'll just say something like, hey, and the subject line will be something like, nice to meet you, nice to have met you. And it'll be a little bit pretty much the same email to everyone, so I'll copy paste it. But if I remember something about someone, I'll tweak it, and I'll be like, hey Valencia, it was so great to meet you. Really enjoyed what you were chatting about with your magazine. I want to hear more about that. Let's have coffee soon, if you've got time, if you'd like to do that. And so you just kind of extend that offer to everyone if you want. Don't give it to people you don't actually want to meet with.
Exactly. you have to be authentic with it.
Yeah. All right. So the energy part, all about energy. Point number 2. is really like, walking in a room with energy. We're not saying be unnatural with it. It may feel a little unnatural, especially for those of you who are not up here all the time. It may take you gotta to Ray's point, warm up a bit. So if something doesn't come to you naturally, you might have to really practice. But there's a wonderful podcast that I listened to one time. It's called Art of Charm. And they have this wonderful tip on there about walking through a room specifically for networking events. And they recommend, if this is hard for you, put a little colored sticky on door frames in your house. Or even in your office. You can get your office to do it with you. And it's just a funny little thing. Every time you walk through a door frame, that sticky reminds you to, straighten up, shoulders back, beautiful, warm, genuine smile. And you're walking through a room, with confidence and with, and you're approachable is the point. So if you're going to talk all day about people who are not approachable.
Be approachable. Yeah. Be approachable, exactly.
Yeah. So energy is good. Any other conversation around that you've got?
No, like I said, just kind of the warming up, and you hit it on the head. Just if you act energetic, people will see you as being energetic. So yeah, and also being popular, right? Being you can become it's high school all over again, right? So you can become the most popular person in the networking event. What's beautiful what's so beautiful about networking events as opposed to high school is nobody knows you. So they don't know that you don't know everybody in the place. So you can reinvent yourself at every networking event. You can become that energetic person. You can become who you want to be. Again, being authentic at your core, but you can act to become what you want to be.
Yeah, and that can be hard again if you're an introvert or even an ambivert. You gotta gear yourself up for this. So gear yourself up to have a little bit more energy than you normally bring in a space. And then the other thing is maintaining that energy. You can't just walk through the room with energy, through the door, and then 5 minutes later we look at you and your face says, "Don't come over here."
Got it.
Don't have that resting face that we all have. That's not what you want in a networking situation. That the resting thing doesn't work well at all. It will do exactly what you want it to do, which is repel people. So they'll be like, "I'm not coming to see her next." All right, so that was energy. The next one is, which we love, give.
Yeah, be generous.
Be generous.
Yeah, generosity is the key to networking, right? Is giving value. And then you and I were talking earlier about quite often you'll meet somebody, at another level, a CMO, C-level executive, or somebody that maybe you've always wanted to meet, but you feel like there's nothing you could possibly offer them. But everybody has something, and everybody needs something, right? So it's all a matter of now just making that match. Find out what I call, what's your superpower? Right, everybody has it, and I wrote in my blog recently. I just always found this was a great story about Farnsworth Bentley. He wanted to work for Diddy, and but he didn't have money, he didn't have access. But one thing he did have, he had an ability to dress really stylishly, and he just kind of made himself available consistently to where Diddy would be, and he would always have these nice outfits on until one day he caught his attention and ended up working with him. So. Find out what your superpower is, and whatever that is, trust me, there's somebody who needs that, and it could be you listen really well. You tell great stories, you're funny, you know how to fix things around the house. Yes, things like that you take for granted because they come natural to you. Someone needs that, and if you can be generous with that, you can build a relationship. People need information. They need contacts. They need resources. They obviously need money, but any one of those things you can provide to people. Quite often, don't cost anything. You can simply email an article to someone you met at a networking event. You find out that they're in, like I know Andrea's in marketing. If I read a cool article about marketing, I'll just send her an email. Or if there's a book I see that's interesting about marketing, I'll send her an email or a note about it. So just kind of staying in front of people It's easy to do, but you have to. I read recently you have to give before you ask, right?
Yeah.
And that's the key. So
Exactly, because if you think about the psychology behind that, and this is really getting into so much of now more of what branding is, because it's more about who you are. Superpowers is more about identifying who you are and what makes you so different and unique. But I love that formula of give, ask. Because by the time you've given so much, if you are actually giving something of value that someone finds useful, helpful to them, they're grateful that you took the time to do that for them, and you've done that over and over and over for them. By the time you ask for something, they're going to be dang near begging, like, how can I help you? Because I want to help you so much because you've helped me so much.
Yes.
And I just, all you want me to do is this one simple thing. You got it. No problem.
Exactly.
You got it.
Exactly.
So I love that. Give. Nikki's our timekeeper. She's, Valencia. Those are awesome tips, right? Thank you for putting those down there. And finally, our last one is be memorable. I'm trying to use sticky notes because I like them. Be memorable, which is so key to so many of this. And there's so many tips in this, but I'm gonna let you.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give away one of my tips. I know you said I'm giving a 400 level class.
No, I love it. No, it's good for me because I unashamedly feel like I'm a decent networker, but your tips are like, I'm like taking notes myself. Like, wait a minute, I didn't know about that. Let me try that next time.
So this is interesting. An interesting tip, and it sounds so counterintuitive. But anybody who's met me probably didn't even realize this, but I never tell people my name until they ask for it.
Really?
Never tell people my name until they ask for it.
Because you want people
to remember it. People, when you walk up to somebody, hold out your hand and tell them your name. Hi, my name is Ray Abram.
They won't remember it right away.
10 seconds later. And we all know that, but we all do that. It's just a habit. People are humans. We are what Robert Cialdini, that's another good book if you guys haven't read, Influence by Robert Cialdini, I think is how it's pronounced. And he talks about how people are clickworm machines, he says, where, you basically just out of habit, so hi, my name is Ray Abram, and then you stick out your hand and say, hi, my name is Andre Smith. And but the interaction, nobody really remembers, and it doesn't stand out because we're just kind of acting out of habit, right? So by not telling somebody my name, and we may talk for several minutes, like I'll come by, I remember how I walk and say, hey, well, and I'll walk around, I find out your name. But then I walk around, and then when I come back, we talk for a few minutes. You realize after a while, like, I don't know this guy's name. Yeah. And we've talked for 10 minutes. And then you say, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name. And then when I tell you, you'll remember.
Hopefully, yes. That's a good, I like that tip. It's just a nice little nuance to get people interested first, and then they're more likely to remember.
Exactly. And if the person doesn't ask you for your name, they wouldn't have remembered it anyway. Yeah. They'll never,
I do several different things as well. So if you notice, this is my little name badge. It says Andrea Smith, Senior Brand Director, Strategist. I made that up and put it on this nice, lovely name badge for ADS. And it's magnetic, ladies, so you're not dealing with a pin through your clothes like a lot of networking places will make you put a pin on your outfit. So, magnetic, nice little name badge on your right side. So when you do shake hands, people do see that. It's just a little subtle psychological thing. But in addition to it being here, so they can visually see it, which is always helpful, because you will forget. Someone says your name, just like Ray said, you'll forget almost immediately. We're almost out of time. We're on our last tip, so we'll hurry through this. I can't even believe we got through this last tip. So the thing about name badges is you've got your name badge that's visual, but if you really want someone to remember your name, repeating it several times just naturally in conversation will help people. Even if you don't have a name badge on, you could say, you know what, Mary, the other day I was walking down the street and someone said, hey, Andrea, how's it going? And I was like, yeah, it's cool, and I just thought to myself, Andrea, why don't you blah, 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 blah. And then, and I said, yeah, Andrea, that's what you should do. Whatever, however you like integrate that into, if you at least say your name 2 or 3 times, that's helpful to the other person, helping them remember your name. I always appreciate when people do that. I've heard people introduce themselves and they'll say their name a couple times in their introduction, and it's so helpful. It's often the one person I'll ever remember in a room that introduced themselves is the person who said their name 2 or 3 times. Yeah, so that's really helpful.
Oh yeah. Just again, it's all about branding and advertising, and networking events is no different. You are advertising yourself and your service, so you have to repeat things. People's mind wander. It's just human nature. So be repetitive, but also remember the follow up. So if I could maybe kind of sum up, a little bit about what we just kind of talked about. So be present, right? Which is the forget about yourself. Be present with that person you're talking to. Don't be thinking about. Don't think about the next person you're going to talk to, or look around the room while you're engaging. Engage, be present, have energy, right? So walk into a room with a purpose, right? So you're there to work, not to just chat it up with 1 or 2 people, or find the person that you know, or stand in the corner and wait for somebody to come talk to you. Give. So always make sure that, remember that marketing or networking is like growing a garden instead of hunting, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not about, going out and shooting at different things and either I hit it or I don't. It's about, watering that plant, and then you can cultivate it, and then you can get the fruit at some point in the future if you've done your work on the front end. And then finally, be memorable. So find out what works for you. I mean, I gave a tip. Andre gave a tip. But, kind of find out what works for you that people will remember. And it could be, just wear a certain color, wear something that you can bring up later in your conversations with them so that they'll remember you.
Yeah. Like, remember I had on that bright yellow blazer, or you talked to me about such and such.
Exactly.
You love that story about whatever. Stories, I feel, make you memorable. And also for the people you really want to connect with, an old-fashioned handwritten note, which is high energy for us. Like, we don't write anymore, and we have to take it to, drop it in the mail and all that. Sure. But I can't tell you the number of people who have kept a handwritten note that I've sent them. So if someone's very important to you and you really want to get in that door, try a handwritten note. So Natasha says, I need to share this with all of the new members of National Black MBA Association.
Last
night.
I planned to be at that last
night.
I
know. I couldn't go either.
I had tickets to the McDonald's basketball game last night. That was great. Right? Yeah, that was great. Yes, I couldn't miss that. So absolutely. And so let's talk about bringing this to the National Black MBA Association.
Yeah, please do share it, Natasha. And thanks so much to everyone who chimed in today. Again, for those of you who shared, and I saw a couple people who shared already, thank you. We have 2 books to give away today. To Ray's point about being well-read, and David Patterson has told us also before to be well-read. These are 2 great books that we super love. People have recommended to me. I'm going to read these.
2 of my favorite books.
And I want to give these to some of you out there. So if you would just simply share this, we're picking someone between now and Friday to give a copy of these 2. These are mine. But I'm going to send a copy to one of these to someone and one of these to someone. Never Eat Alone or The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. So you've read both of them?
I love them. Yeah, they're 2 of my favorite books. Great books.
I gotta keep up. So awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate this. Very, very helpful. And I learned something today. And Ray, this is for you for
Thank you.
Being my one. I know, but I love it. For being a marvelous guest.
Thank you.
And really appreciate you being here. So
cool. Thanks for having me.
All right. Okay. You guys have a good night.
Cool. Thanks.
Thanks so much, and feel free to still leave your questions, comments in the notes. We'll go back and check them later. All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.